With me today, our good friend, Stuart Spencer, back again from Advanced Ear Care. And he's right over there at the Willow Tree, and lots of stuff going on over there. We'll get to that in just a moment. Welcome, sir.
Good morning,
Always
Ken.
a pleasure.
Likewise.
And we're going to talk about, I kind of alluded to, can be kind of a delicate subject. And this is when a spouse or a loved one is either themselves beginning to have some sort of hearing loss that is maybe they're impeding on their relationship somehow. Honey, what? Yeah. Or just the opposite, where the partner or spouse is looking at their other person going, you know, you may want to be looking into some hearing aids about now, right?
That's right. You know, there's a lot of issues that come up there, that's for sure. You know, one of them is just that, you know, kind of addressing the problem.
Yeah.
You know, and it really, you know, I allude to it as, you know, people really need the courage, you know, to kind of address it and kind of step into it. It's a little uncomfortable to tell somebody that they're really not hearing as well as they should be hearing. But at the same time, it's really rewarding and a real benefit to the person that has hearing loss to identify it, correct it, and move forward with it. You know, and we see so often, you know, couples come in and, you know, oh, you know, I ask them, you know, why are you here today? You know, they look over at their spouse. You know, she says I have hearing loss. I think I'm just fine, right? And you know, we test their hearing, and they've lost half their hearing.
Wow.
You know, and they don't notice it. You know, and it's one of the amazing things about hearing loss is that it's invisible, and it's painless, and it's so gradual. People only know the way they hear. They don't know how they should be hearing. Yeah. And we correct that. They're like, oh my goodness, you know, I should have done this a long time ago. Yeah. So, you know, when a spouse does identify, you know, a friend or, you know, a loved one, you know, that has a problem, you know, they need to step into that and just say, you know, let's just get it checked. You know, there's nothing wrong with finding out where it's at, and if it's good, you're fine. Yeah. The other thing that, you know, we kind of see along the lines of the spouse is, you know, once the person does get their hearing corrected, then they think that they're going to hear perfect, you know, and honestly, hearing aids don't make you hear perfect, you know. They improve your hearing from hearing loss way up to much better hearing, but not perfect. So, you know, a lot of the bad habits that, you know, the person that does have better hearing really continues to propagate is, you know, they'll talk to the person that has a hearing loss like from the other room, you know, or they'll have their back to them, you know. And, you know, then they'll say, well, honey, you're wearing your hearing aids. Why aren't you hearing me? You know, because it's just still not that way. You know, they're still not hearing perfect. And, you know, if somebody would just say, hey, honey, where do you want to go to lunch today? Then they kind of start the conversation with them, you know, and it gets their attention, and they know they're going to be saying something to them. Because sometimes, you know, somebody's just reading a newspaper or, you know, just distracted by watching TV or something like that, and somebody starts a conversation and they pick it up later, you know.
In fact, that's true with my daughter.
Absolutely, you know, I mean,
all of us, yeah, for all of us. And, you know, there's a kind of studies about this, about people multitasking. And they go, can you multitask? Well, it has been proven over and over and over again, our brain cannot multitask. It is scientifically impossible. So if you are focused watching something on TV or reading a book, it is nearly impossible for your brain to pick up what else is going on. There's nothing you'll ever be able to do about that. Right.
And so, you know, so they pick up the conversation halfway through. Yeah. And then, you know, the party that's speaking says, well, why weren't you hearing me? You know, well, you know, it's just a real common thing. So, you know, it's just like, you know, you wouldn't, you know, people with other disabilities, you know, you wouldn't ask somebody with a cane to run across the street, you know, or you wouldn't ask somebody to do something. And so asking them to hear perfect just because they're wearing hearing aids isn't always the best thing to do. Just give them a little break, and, you know, just face to face is always the best. Yeah. You know, get their attention first. Just some real simple things go a long way.
And you wrote down here remote microphones. So let's talk about that briefly versus, does this mean somebody who maybe has really great hearing aids, ones that work off an app or something like that, do they still need a remote microphone? Can you, if it works off an app, can your phone act as a microphone?
Sure, it can. You know, today the phone can be a remote microphone, and then there are additional remote microphones outside of the phones. If people, you know, don't have the smartphone technologies or, you know, the apps that would go along with that. We've had some tremendous success with remote microphones with people hearing in noisy situations. You know, couples that just like to go out to dinner, you know, just one-on-one, you know, they're in a large noisy area, but the person that is speaking, just clips the microphone on their blouse or their shirt and talks to the person, and it's just from their lips to their ears.
See, I would feel
It's
real
so
conscious
clear.
having a microphone on my. Oh, well, maybe not.
And
kind of normal for me.
Yeah, there you go. And so the technology is really, really tremendous.
Yeah.
So, and everything's moving that direction. It's a simple thing. And now, we had one couple that likes to go out to dinner and they like to sit next to each other. you know? So they're not across the table where this, gentleman can see his wife's face and her lip movements. And he's got a real severe hearing loss. And he was having a difficult time. They were going to stop going out to dinner. And I said, hey, try this. He came back, he was so elated, He's like, oh my gosh, Stuart, I can hear her great now in the restaurant.
And restaurants are so much noisier. Even the real upscale kind of tablecloth restaurants.
Yeah. It's a different environment.
They're no longer quiet and hushed and
the noisy is the chick
totally
thing,
different.
in restaurant design today.
Yeah.
So they are noisy, hard floors, high ceilings, a lot of noise around. So, anything we can do to maximize that hearing clarity in those noisy situations, people really seem to appreciate it quite a bit.
Yeah, let's talk about very quickly here, hearing loss and diabetes, and there's some correlation there.
Right. So if people have, type 2 diabetes, they're twice as likely, to have hearing loss. So, it's a pretty big number.
What is the reason?
It's, the blood sugar, damages, capillaries and blood vessels.
Okay.
And it also causes damage to nerve endings, both which are really critical to hearing better. A lot of blood flow around the ear canals. And so it causes a restriction there. And then, of course, those cilia hair cells in the inner ear, get damaged, and that causes a problem with understanding speech clearly as well. So it's kind of a double hit on that.
Yeah.
So those people should just always make sure to have their hearing tested often, because it can fluctuate pretty quickly.
Yeah, very true. Now, you wrote down something here. It says, "This bud's for you."
That's right.
Connecting the RIC style hearing instruments to the ear can be challenging. I don't know what RIC style hearing instruments
So,
are.
that's like a receiver in the canal, style, like,
okay.
Like I'm wearing, so, the coupling of the hearing aid to the ear, is so critical. So a lot of times, these are custom molds that I wear, and I highly suggest, we always really recommend customizing, Precise Custom Solutions is one of our brand promises.
Yeah.
So customizing, it's really important. Many times people will just have a little rubber bud on the end of that. Well, we've got about 50 different sizes of those little rubber buds.
Yes.
And so many times I see people come in from different areas and they just don't have the right fit. And the fit is so critical.
Yeah.
If it's not just fit perfectly right in the ear and has a good seal, it can't drive that hearing the proper way.
Right.
So it's something really simple to check and very inexpensive to fix.
Yeah.
And it really produces a maximum result with the amplification that we provide for people. So we always say, when we fit them, this bud's for you.
All right. Now, finally, Willow Tree Center update. They're starting moving along now.
Hey, finally, so they did the main buildings, and we got the tenants in there, Aldi's and Dollar Tree, and we have the gym coming in next to them. Then now they're just going to Chase Bank, and so they've started all that construction, blocked off the areas for construction. They're going to do that end of the mall first, then they're going to go down to the other end, and then finally they'll get to us, in the middle. But they're going to redo all the sidewalks through there that need it really badly.
They really do, because it's kind of, most of the clientele there are from here, and yet they have very awkward steps, sharp, steep stairs that go down, and that you can't barely even see from the parking lot. I mean, I don't need to tell you.
No, that's right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
all that, and none of that would be designed that way today.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, we finally got our sign up, on the marquee on the Moulton side of things. And so that's kind of nice to finally get that after 6 short months.
Yeah.
And so, the marquee and just the whole face of the entire center is going to look a lot more updated and just more modern and cleaner looking. And they'll redo the parking lot surfacing, and it'll bring us back up to speed. It'll really look nice.
All right, very good. And of course, if anyone wants to come in and get their ears checked, they're welcome to do so.
May's Better Hearing Month, right?
Yeah.
So we're testing everybody. We're testing spouses, children, the people that already have hearing instruments, of course, but we're testing everybody's hearing. And it's really producing some remarkable results with people that didn't really realize they had hearing loss. And even if it's just mild, you know, they really take note of it and think, oh, you know, this is something I should be checking.
Yeah.
Again, because it's so invisible and so painless and gradual, you know, they don't realize they really have loss.
Yeah.
But even if it's a mild loss, it's okay, you know?
Yeah.
So it's nice to have it checked, and then they know where they're at, and years to come we can compare it to that as we move forward.
Very good. Always good to see you, sir.
Always great to see you, Ken.
Take
Thanks
care.
so much. Sure.
All right, we'll be right back. Maybe we should